Let's finish it out with Texas and Rodney Terry.
Before we go there, I want to ask you this. Who would be your all Big Ten team if the season ended today?
All right. We'll do that, and then we'll go on to Rodney Terry.
And then we'll talk about Rodney Terry.
So it's clear it's got to be Zach Edey as player of the year to me.
Yep.
And Trace is obviously on
lock.
Right?
I think there's one more lock. He didn't play well last night, but there's one more lock.
You think there's one more lock?
Yeah, Jalen Pickett.
Oh, lock, 100%.
He's played like an All-American for this season, honestly.
Those three you can't even argue with. Like you can't you can't convince me anything. Those three are locks, absolute locks. Boy, I mean, I think like Boo Booey's got to be in the equation. No.
I think if you're taking a Northwestern player, it is Chase Audige.
Yeah, it's because he's so
Audige, he's going to be an all-defensive team guy. Yep. He's had an awesome season. Yep. I think his shot selection has improved a ton.
Yep.
He is a guy that I think he's more of a second-team guy. We're leaving out one more that's a lock. Chris Murray.
Yeah.
Chris Murray's a lock.
Is he a lock? He's had that good a year?
He is averaging 20 points a game. He's second in the league in scoring. He is fourth in the league in rebounding. Yeah. Okay. He's a lock.
All right. He's a lock. So we got 4.
And I think this is where there is some subjective. Is it Dickinson? Although I don't think he's had as good of a year. I think he's a second team guy, especially with the Michigan struggles.
Yeah.
Jameer Young, I think, has played his way into this conversation. I think Terrence Shannon is in this conversation. If Matt Meyer continues to play the way he is, he could find his way into this conversation. But I think it's you pick between those guys. Sensabaugh is definitely a guy that you throw in there.
You can't take a guy who's on a 3-17.
No. I agree. I would probably go Shannon, but I think Jameer Young can get there. I think Audige could get there.
I'm with you.
I think Matt Meyer could get there.
I'll go Shannon. So Edey, Trace, Pickett, Murray, Shannon.
Yeah. I would feel good about that.
Coach
I think those,
Matt Painter,
and you know what? And not to, boy, they're going to be pissed. Rutgers deserves to have somebody in this conversation, whether it's Cam Spencer or it's Cliff Amore, Paul Mulcahy. It probably would be Spencer. Spencer would be right there in that discussion too.
The problem with them is, again, it's
they kind of cannibalize each other's numbers.
Yeah,
they do. But they will have multiple guys, I think, in the second and third team. But the problem is the stars are so good. Like Edey, you're not getting him off the first team. Trace Jackson-Davis, you're not getting him off the first team. Jalen Pickett, Chris Murray. And then the 4 or 5 guys we just mentioned are having massive statistical years, but Rutgers needs to be represented because they have had a great season. Okay. So those guys, you've got to have multiple guys that are falling into that. If they're not on the first team, on the second and third.
Edey, Trace, and Pickett could not only be first team all Big Ten guys.
First team All-Americans.
Could be All-Americans.
Agreed.
That's how good those
Pickett's been an All-American. They all three have been. If the season ended today, those guys would be All-Americans. Pickett's been awesome.
Pickett's one of the biggest surprises of the year in a way, because again, nobody thought he'd do this. He's been
awesome. I mean, I think he is just upped his level and played like a beast all year.